Welcome to the 9th episode of the series I'm Moving to Asia. We're still in the cool Cameron Highlands, where after a whole day of sightseeing, there's only one thing you dream of, a hot meal. And today, we'll start with a hot but unusual meal.
The slight disappointment about the apartment has already passed for everyone, and now we're going to grab something to eat. And this is actually the first time since we've been in Asia that we're going for hot pot.
What is hot pot?
I'll tell you a bit more about it in a moment. But as you can see, the area here is kind of like the more intentional center of this place. I think we're at World Intellectual Property Organization. Actually, we're not at World Intellectual Property Organization. I'll clarify that later because, let's say, my beloved's father runs and manages this place and he knows all the spots. So we're just wandering around. That's how it is. So in a moment you'll see what this food looks like. Typical Chinese food. It's not a family dish. We all sit around together, and anyway, I'll explain everything here in a moment.
Dinner isn't just quickly throwing something on the grill, it's a real ritual. Today I'll tell you about what hot pot or steamboat is, and it's an extraordinary event because nothing brings Asians together like this. But before I explain what hot pot is and how to eat it without embarrassing yourself, I need to give you a quick pro tip. So before you sit down at the table, look around the place for a little note like this on the wall. In Malaysia, the health department doesn't mess around and posts ratings where everyone can see them. We ended up in a place with a proud B. Is that a reason to panic? Absolutely not, especially since this one scored 78% and an A rating, which is exemplary, would only require a few more points. A B rating often comes from bureaucratic issues like a dirty floor in the restroom, cracked tiles in the back, or poor ventilation. But if you see a C rating, as Europeans you should avoid eating at such a place, and if it has a D rating, you should run away as fast as you can. Even the Malaysian secret weapon won't help then. It's jokingly said that the hot peppers here burn not only your taste buds, but also any tiny organisms. Of course, don't take this as medical advice. Before the water in the pot starts boiling, we have to order everything. And here I have two brilliant tips for you. First of all, hot pot is a dish that rewards the sociable and punishes singles and couples. Just look at the price list. A set for 2 people is 70 ringgit, which is 35 per person. But if there are 3 or more of you, the price drops to 30 ringgit per person. Secondly, don't go overboard with the extras. A regular starter set already includes about 20 different ingredients here, from mushrooms and tofu to seafood and meat. Tourists often impulsively order expensive add-ons and then can't finish all the food.
We pick from what's available. My beloved's mother recommends something like this. It's some kind of dragon, some kind of salad. But what caught my eye, I feel like having asparagus with sambal, which means they're spicy. And we're also getting pumpkin seeds. Here you have pumpkin seeds with shrimps, and then there's some pork. The selection is pretty nice. Here, taking for myself, I mean for myself, but actually everything is to be shared. No, because you have round tables, but everyone takes what they like, obviously it will get eaten and not left over. A large portion of stir-fried curry powder chicken, which is chicken with curry basically, and the rest are still choosing something, so they want to give me spicy, but we're taking the Thailand lemon sauce chicken.
Alright, but what the heck is this hot pot anyway? Sometimes you might also hear the name steamboat. Traditionally, such a pot had a chimney in the middle with glowing coal, hence the name steamboat, which of course means paddle steamer. Nowadays, in private homes, people usually use the modern electric version, but in restaurants, you'll more often find the gas ones. Still, the principle is the same. You get a pot with boiling broth, which is usually divided in half. You can choose the type of soup yourself. We went with the classic option. One half is mild, it's a clear vegetable soup, and the other is the extremely spicy tom yum. Along with that, you get a pile of raw ingredients that you choose yourself. Shrimp, fish balls, meat, mushrooms, eggs, tofu. Are you the chef yourself? Okay, but now the most important thing, how do you avoid embarrassing yourself during a meal like this? The rules are simple but crucial. First, hygiene. A whole bunch of different ingredients go into the pot, and for putting them in and taking them out, we always use shared ladles or chopsticks designated for that purpose. Stirring in the boiling pot with utensils that you just had in your mouth is an absolute faux pas. Secondly, don't be greedy. The biggest mistake Europeans make is throwing everything in as if it were a big pot of soup. That's absolutely not how it's done. If you fill the pot to the brim, the broth will stop boiling, and instead of quick cooking, you'll end up with a sad, soggy mush. Hot pot isn't fast food. It's an event that can last up to 2 hours, and that's usually how long it's reserved for. Third, test and report. It's not like you have to eat whatever you fish out, especially if it's still raw. Different ingredients need different cooking times, so a good practice is to fish out one small piece into your bowl to test it. If it's tasty and ready, you let the rest of the table know that the ingredient is good to eat. If not, you also inform them that it needs a bit more time. And fourth, don't play treasure hunters. Stirring the soup for a long time just to fish out that one specific slice of beef is simply not elegant. With this dish, we also don't sit with our noses in our phones. You need to pay attention to the food, serve each other, and talk together. After all, it's a shared event. For everything, including tea, we paid 98 ringgit, which comes out to about 84 zloty, for of course, 4 people. After the hot dinner, a new day began. Mornings in Cameron Highland are magical, but at the same time brutally humid and cold.
The day, my dear ones, is after hour
8 and time
to start a new day.
We leave this not-so-perfect apartment, which I told you about in the previous episode, and we start exploring the town.
After breakfast, we stopped here in one place to browse what they have for sale. Here behind me you can see a very popular cartoon my beloved watched every episode, I think, called Dora and Amon, something like that. Apparently it's very nice and educational. If I remember correctly, Dora is a Japanese or possibly Chinese cartoon.
Amon is a blue cat, a robot coming from the future who was sent to the past, meaning to our times, to change or fix things. The course of history that affected his family in Southeast Asia. Dora and Amon was broadcast on television for decades. That's why for people in their 20s, 30s, or even 40s in Malaysia, it's an absolute classic and a childhood cartoon. It's the equivalent of our Smurfs, Bolek and Lolek, or Dragon Ball, as we can see.
You can see that in Cameron Highlands there's a total cult following. When it comes to strawberries, my friend here was just saying that when they were kids, they had them. And umbrellas and pillows with strawberries, some different blankets.
Blankies.
Everything had strawberries on it.
Strawberries are absolutely everywhere here. Ice cream might not surprise anyone here, but you can find almost everything with this theme, from lots of pillows and umbrellas to even soft, warm slippers.
And here's another cute little bee, almost like Maya the bee.
There's also a small market here, and besides chili, you can also buy a whole lot of traditional Chinese medicine products.
The lady is peeling something for us, and she's peeling this, that, and that for us. It kind of looks like a sweet potato, but it's not a sweet potato. Can you even eat this at all? Raw. This one was planted tonight. I know not all were planted tonight, okay? Sorry, thank you, but no. Oh, the chicken is really tasty, juicy. But really, it looks just like a potato. But really brilliant, kind of like an apple. Some of you might say that. It's too shiny, but really delicious like an apple. Right, just a moment ago the internet wasn't working in Sejli. But like I told you before, we did the trick, turned the card off, turned it back on, and now everything works. We have 4G plus, and now we're already trying to translate here.
Often in places like this, we're afraid to buy something we have no idea about, whether you need to peel it or if it's poisonous when raw. On the other hand, a traveler's curiosity is stronger, so being able to quickly Google a fruit or vegetable right at the stall saves us.
I saw how a Peruvian in that case. Delicious, very juicy. Since the internet works, let's translate this too, because here my companion claims says that it's quite an expensive fruit. Amazing. Asparagus is a plant belonging to the asparagus family, reaching a height of up to 1 meter with thin roots and branches. Okay, it is found in China. And you make tea from it, right? With rzeszczoskiem, it's very good.
Right behind the vegetable stands, there's something like a garden center. At first glance, it doesn't sound very exciting, but believe me, this flower shop is a bit different from any I've ever visited in my life.
And as is often the case in stores, there are all sorts of knickknacks. Here you can see something straight from AliExpress, but not everyone knows it. Older people don't necessarily shop online, so here you can find such wonders, or you can also see that it's one thing to buy something in an online store and another to see it for yourself. It's made of quality material, not just plastic, and it's quite heavy. I'm just examining it closely. And really nice flower pots. Sometimes they make such ugly plain pots, but this one adds a certain charm. Here you have flower pots, kai, jingpai, or something like that, which means money. You'll see it looks beautiful. It's not something you won't see in Poland. Well, here you see carnivorous plants. They attract with their scent. Well, meat is meat. It's just flies, different types of insects like that. And they fall in and drown. These also attract with their scent and simply stick them. And they close and eat, they digest. Actually, it's not so much eating as digesting.
Thanks to this, these pitcher plants are true plant hunters. They lure insects with their scent, and when they fall inside, the plant slowly digests them with its enzymes. In Malaysia, this is a completely natural way to deal with flies and mosquitoes.
It doesn't look the most beautiful in the world. Let's be honest, no, if there's a flower, just the green part is fine, but if you see flies decomposing in it, it's not sexy. Definitely not. But if you put it somewhere where it's not really visible, then you just don't have to fight with flies as much. Some of them really grow to quite a large size. Look, there, let's say my hand. I'm not sure if I can touch it. There are some strange thorns here. I mean, I don't have much flesh, but you see it's bigger than my hand. Basically, that one over there, for example, is even bigger. Walking here in the morning is nice, but let's keep moving. We've arrived at another place, and behind me you can see a small shrine. This is very common in Chinese culture. This is the so-called Earth God, or the guardian of the land. You could say that he simply watches over the area. He watches over homes, shops. That's what you could call it, basically farms, I think. There's also this kind of belief, this kind of God, well, I guess God. He's often placed not just at supermarkets, but at entire shopping centers. It doesn't matter if it's mainly Muslim, there are stores there or any other kind, because all these faiths, beliefs and customs mix together quite a lot. Here, yes, if I remember correctly, there. The Chinese make up about 32% here. It depends on where, on which side of Malaysia, whether eastern or western, but you could say it's around that. So this whole culture blends together, and because of that, you'll see things like this even in shopping malls. It just has to be there because it brings good luck, or rather protects against bad luck. Real estate.
The chapel I showed you isn't here without a reason. We're at another garden center, and since we're here, let's take a look at what interesting things we can find.
You've likely never seen this in Poland. This is golden grass, golden grass. To the touch it feels just like artificial grass, like it's plastic, but it's not. It's completely alive, completely real. And here we also have a whole long row of all these carnivorous plants. Here you can see a little chili growing. Here holidays aren't really celebrated. Christmas is, but only partially. And here you can see, yes, according to them, this is what a Christmas tree looks like, a holiday tree, more likely something like this. But as you've probably already noticed, I know next to nothing about botany. But maybe someday I should know a bit more, so you can give me some tips. To me, it looks more like something that grows on a tree. It's just a name after all. And for those who know what it is, my friends, these are basically duckweed trees. That's what a crab tree looks like. Whatever the Polish name is, and the Polish name, as I'll tell you, is known as the Christmas cactus or crab cactus, so it actually makes sense. You'll remember to write down these two symbols again from memory. Good luck. You say this is asparagus, but it doesn't really look like it to me. It must be a different kind with the same name. However, when it comes to the Chinese name, it's foxtail, which can also be translated as good luck. Close your eyes and draw a leak from memory. If you've had enough of Mandarin Chinese, well, here is the Chinese translation, or actually the Chinese name of this plant. This is tiger tail, which means tiger's tail. Basically in Polish it's called snake plant, mother-in-law's tongue, or tiger's tail. So, in a way this name would be quite appropriate here. Yes, we've entered another market, but here we had to pay 5 ringgit for the entrance fee. The entrance is right behind me. However, I see that foreign religions are following us everywhere. I mean cars from Thailand, and that's because there's some kind of festival going on right now. They have a holiday, they just have time off. Yes, today is basically just an ordinary Tuesday. However, the border with Thailand is not particularly far. It's relatively close. What does that mean? Since they have time off, they come here to sightsee. Cameron Highlands is actually a very popular place to visit for people coming from Thailand. Basically for everyone, yes, even people from Poland come here, so it's no surprise, really. Look at this. Can you believe this is a Toyota Yaris? Who among you has seen it as a full-fledged cool sedan? Well, a real limousine, just look at it. I really wouldn't mind having this version with a spoiler that I spotted in the parking lot. But why don't they make these for Europe? It's such a shame. You know how it is in supermarkets. Basically everyone sells pretty much the same stuff. There could be just one store that sticks to the same assortment. Everywhere you go, it's just strawberries or cabbages. Everyone sells the same things. So, you know, when we go to these kinds of markets, it's always the same. Potatoes, strawberries, hundreds of stalls with exactly the same things, probably from the same supplier. Alright, maybe I'll take back part of what I said about everyone selling the same things, because I see here that some people are actually more original. Over there you can see something being cooked. Jagung mi, whatever that is. Yeah, some strange fruits, boiled vegetables. There's also something fried over there. Here you also have nicely prepared desserts to try. And over there I can see something even more original. It looks like chicken, maybe fried chicken or some kind of meat. It's okay. So sometimes it's original, although here they have something similar again. Here you have some kind of jelly. It doesn't look very tasty. This jelly I was talking about, as you can see, Sally is saving our skin, or at least mine. Basically, this is Cordyceps sinensis, a valued mushroom used in traditional Chinese medicine. You can pause the rest and read it for yourselves. Mom, I see that you probably want to get something like this for yourself. I don't know, you're picking the best one. However, down here I also see a warning that it may contain organic arsenic, which in large amounts can be harmful. So you see, it's supposed to be medicine, a remedy, but if you eat too much of it, you'll see the world from a different perspective.
And that's exactly why I always say that having internet while traveling is not just a convenience, but often a matter of safety. Imagine buying and taking such a medicine blindly. In moments like these, the sponsor of this episode comes to the rescue, Sally. You're probably wondering why their eSIM is a huge advantage over a regular local SIM card bought at the airport. Well, when you buy a physical card, you're basically marrying one operator. If you go into the mountains, like we are now, and that particular operator doesn't have coverage here, then, to put it bluntly, you're out of luck. You end up without any connection. Sally, created by the makers of NORDVPN, works on a completely different principle. They have agreements with multiple networks at the same time. The phone automatically switches between the strongest local transmitters, whether it's Cellcom, Digi or Maxis. If one operator has a coverage gap, Sally immediately connects to another one, and you have a stable internet connection the whole time. This is important because in Poland we've gotten used to excellent coverage throughout the whole country, even in the smallest villages in Malaysia. However, coverage or its sudden loss can really and unpleasantly surprise you. That's why Sally is simply a better and safer solution. Equally important, you can take care of everything before your flight by installing the app at home, and the internet will work literally a few seconds after landing. No searching for kiosks or juggling physical cards. If you're going to Asia or anywhere else abroad, with my code TechManiacHD, you'll get a 15% discount. You'll find the link in the description below the video. In the meantime, we're getting back to sightseeing, and luckily you have to beg for knowledge so you don't overdose on Chinese medicines with arsenic.
As you can see, it's cooler here because of the altitude. 1,621 meters, and over there just a moment ago it showed 23-24 degrees, but I think the sun is hitting there now because
it is
pleasant warm. That's why people come here. Sorry, it's pleasant, warm, quite warm, but definitely cooler than Kuala Lumpur, where it's probably already 33 degrees. We were at that whole market bazaar. There's a bazaar behind me, and here you can see the tropical forest. Technically, it's a tropical forest. From this side, it might not look like it, but over there, those are still tropical trees, as far as I know.
We're escaping the crowded market to see with our own eyes the biggest green landmark of the whole region.
We arrived at this place called Boti, just like I showed you yesterday. A different place, another farm or a place where tea grows, that's over there. It should be cheaper here and it's just as beautiful, if not more beautiful. I think there are even more people. But again, what we saw yesterday was on the way, and as you know, things on the way are more expensive and not always better. If someone knows where to get in, that's where they go, so we know where to get in. And there I can already see banana leaves. Maybe I'll catch something from that side. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's hard to capture this whole view through recording like this.
Just look at those green carpets stretching to the horizon. The Boti Plantations are an absolute icon of Malaysia. The history of this place dates back to 1929, when the British businessman J.A. Russell decided that the local cool and humid climate would be perfect for growing black tea. And well, he wasn't wrong, because today it's the largest producer in the country. Walking among these bushes is pure pleasure, especially since the views themselves are completely free here. However, the destination point for every tourist is this impressive semi-glazed cafe, suspended on stilts over the slope, which is exactly where we're heading.
We're in a cafe with a view. Here you can see the prices. It's about 6 ringgits for a cup of tea. Something like that per person per mug, so it's not super expensive. I would have thought it could be much pricier here. After all, we're right in the center. Alright, I said it's cheap, but if you think about it, that's actually just for tea. For those 6 ringgits, you could probably get a whole carton of tea, not just hot water and a single tea bag. But after all, we're here, so I guess we should at least get one to share. We only took 2 teas and 1 cake, and for that we paid 20. Here it's 28.40.
They serve the tea itself here in quite an elegant way, with a little jug and a fine strainer, so the leaves don't spoil the taste experience. It's just solid classic, but in these natural surroundings, it turns out like gold.
So as you can see, the view from where we're sitting is at least excellent.
That's exactly why it's definitely worth sitting here for this view. Just look at these stunning wavy carpets of tea bushes.
Supposedly such a great tourist spot. They make millions selling tea at a price 1,000 times higher than the actual production cost, and that goes directly into their budget. But in the bathroom, it's a total mess, filth, dirt and poverty. On top of that, there's no soap at all, and if someone wanted toilet paper, you won't find such miracles here either. But actually, that's pretty normal. So, bring your own soap if you even want to wash your hands, and there are practically never any hand dryers here either. That's really rare, but in a country like this, it's not really a special problem. Since it's relatively warm, you can dry your hands by wiping them on your calves, which will dry in about 30 seconds anyway. Do you remember durian fruit? Here you can buy tea with that scent. If you want, it can help you drive guests out of your house. Over there you can see a couple buying some very expensive tea, and in a moment I'll tell you more about its taste. You see, the box itself is worth 1,000 times more because of the metal and embossing than the tea itself. Alright, listen my dear friends, here's a pro tip coming up, because Dad said that this particular tea, which is Boti, and that's what we have here, Kame, Cameronian, is available exclusively in this store, so it actually makes sense to pay more for it here. If you want to, but you can get everything else for 1/5 of the price in any local market, so there's no point in overpaying here. But if you want something special, well, supposedly this one, you can't really buy it anywhere else. You can generally see a crowd of tourists in the store, and they're buying everything without thinking. Well, above all, the more interesting the packaging, I'll go check how much it costs in a moment, the more interesting the packaging, the more willingly people buy it as a gift. You also won't find this one in regular stores because nobody buys it. Here people say it's not even tasty, it's just for tourists because they buy it only because of the packaging. Well, of course it's the same, just much cheaper again. This tea is a bit harder to find in stores, but all this red stuff here is totally standard, really cheap in the supermarket. But here it's supposedly not super expensive either. No, look, 5 zlotys, that's not expensive. As a tourist, you can buy something like this. If you're already here, at least you have a souvenir that it was bought here. You won't normally get this one in the supermarket here either. Because people here don't like this kind of tea, they don't drink it, it doesn't sell, so inventions like this, they just give away for free here. As we all know, in Poland, for every Pole, if something is free, it means the price is as fair as it gets. So let's taste a little. I've already had it for free, so I can't complain. They put so much sugar in it that it tastes like iced tea or Nestea. And this way, with this kind of machine, people used to squeeze it. Well, supposedly the taste, the flavor comes from tea. I guess that's what it's about. There's this brass pot and you probably pour it in here. Whoever has seen something like this before probably knows more about it than I do. As you've probably noticed by now, I'm not a huge fan of tea, nor am I some kind of connoisseur. So, regarding the taste of this tea itself, well, it's nothing revolutionary. It's not the best tea in the world. Well, people drink it because it's better than just drinking plain water. But it's absolutely nothing special. In terms of taste, it's just your typical cheapest tea you've ever seen. My son once, during the COVID times, got a similar package from school. And even though it's been almost 5 years, we still have that tea at home. It's not used for anything. At most, you can use it as a compress for your eye. But really, nobody actually drinks it because it's better to buy something else. Something tastier. And that's it, but it's worth coming here because of the views. We're here precisely for these beautiful views, for the nature, and they just turned a tea place into a tourist attraction because that's definitely more profitable than just selling tea. Because that's how you build a brand, that's how it's done. Something's happening, we'll see in a moment anything happening. What's that? Yeah, I see people there. Right, because we were just talking that you can probably go in there, since there are people inside. I'll show you up close, though I can't get that close because I have a 70mm lens here, but you can see people over there. I don't know if they're maybe picking tea, or if it's just, well, they don't really look like tourists, but don't get me wrong, it's just that the tea itself is quite... That doesn't mean at all, absolutely. I'm not saying it's not worth coming here, because it is worth coming here. Especially so my parents could be right. We didn't pay anything to be here, there was no entrance fee, not at all. Yesterday, what I told you about, I think it was pretty good if I'm not mistaken. So you can definitely go in, no one is forcing you to use or eat anything in this cafe, because you don't have to, it's not mandatory. Is it more expensive? Well, kind of, but it's your choice. You can come here, the parking was free, entry here is free, you can come in and touch the bushes. So, if you're in the area, then yes, it's definitely worth it. So here my parents were absolutely right, because it's really beautiful. For a moment it got a bit quieter, the sun is starting to beat down, it's not that warm yet, but you already start thinking about going back to the air conditioning at this point, because in the sun it's really getting warm. It's nice, you can relax, your eyes can rest. With all this greenery, with banana leaves around, you can pick some tea for yourself, eat it, dry it on your own. Most likely no one will bother you, that's why there are so many bushes here. So, let's roll up our pants.
And let's keep going. Handpicking or even semi-automatic tea harvesting is grueling physical work. Nowadays, the pickers are almost exclusively migrant workers, mainly from Nepal, Bangladesh or Indonesia. Local Malaysians simply don't want to do this anymore. The law does guarantee them the Malaysian minimum wage, which is 1,700 ringgit or about 1,500 zloty per month, the basics. But since the harvest is often based on a piecework system, to earn an hourly wage, they have to carry giant bags of leaves on their backs. In the sun or in mountain downpours, it's worth thinking about this when ordering a cup of tea at a Malaysian McDonald's. Boti was our last stop in Cameron Highlands, and from here we headed straight to Kuala Lumpur. And as soon as we arrived, yes, you guessed it, another family feast. Just look at these delicacies. To start, we had incredibly crispy crab crackers, which I absolutely love, followed by amazing pulled meat in a thick sauce served with those soft white buns, and sesame chicken in a sweet and spicy sauce. Beautifully served fish and classic Asian greens stir-fried with garlic, also known as green dragon vegetable. But the real hit of the evening was the pork served on crushed ice. The thermal shock causes the hot sauce on the outside to instantly turn into a crispy, icy shell while the meat inside remains hot. In the next episode, I'll show you the must-haves, meaning the unique treats we take with us to Europe, and believe me, you won't be able to get many of these things there at all. There will be a family farewell, a trip to the airport, and other interesting things. I'll give you some tips on what it's worth buying right before your flight, so you can make an unforgettable, even shocking impression on your loved ones and colleagues. And at the very end, we'll face a long journey and a very, very strong encounter with the cold Irish reality. There will be a lot happening after we return. I invite you to watch, and thank you for watching.